Hello, friends. Whenever that little curtain is open, it bothers me, but that's all right. We'll get that in a minute. Um, so I want to share about this new book, Wired to Feel by Sarah Bergenfield and Martha Sweezy. Sarah is incredible to me, very beloved to me because she talks about autism from an IFS, internal family systems perspective, and also a polyvagal perspective. And those are my three favorite things to talk about. And that is my whole work life is around neurodivergence and supporting that through an IFS or parts work and polyvagal lens. So she's incredible to me, just such a kindred spirit. Also, I love this beautiful rainbowness to the book, makes me so happy. And I love the perspective of this book is it says autism as a condition of sensory surplus. So she sees autism primarily as a processing difference. And she does the one thing that maybe I'm like not super aligned with her on is she does sometimes use the word disorder or condition. For me, I don't see neurodivergence as a condition or disorder. I don't see it as a pathology or like as something that's not going right. I see it as just, she also kind of moves in and out of these words, but she, also talks about it as like a wiring, a neurotype, and that's more where I land. I think the only thing that is disabling about autism is the world that doesn't support and encourage accommodations or like life that supports, which is what accommodations mean. Um, so I'm just a huge fan of this book. I think it is a really valuable one for folks if you love someone who is neurodivergent or just sensitive. If you are a person and you want to understand a little bit more about how that is a function of your actual neurological wiring and not just you being a brat, which a lot of us have been told. Um, and then, yeah, there's so much good stuff in here. Like I said, about internal family systems, about masking and burnout, about navigating family life. She is married, so I think she speaks to that experience well. Um, like if you want to get a diagnosis and what that'll look like. Looking at how predictive processing is not happening in the same way for autistic brains. It's all just like super fascinating. And Before I go, I wanted to just read you this first paragraph in the introduction because this is literally what I was saying to my therapist for like 2 years. I came to my therapist specifically after like 7 years in dialectical behavioral therapy, and I was having so much trouble interpersonally. And I just kept saying to her, like, every single time she would be like, "How does that make you feel?" Like, confused, confused. I don't know what's going on. What's going on? And so this first paragraph made me so happy, and I just wanted to share it in case there's somebody else who has felt so confused. So it says a note from Sarah. Before getting a diagnosis of autism, I was confused. Every moment of my day was informed by, firstly, what was around me, and secondly, who was around me. I noticed every color and every line that created the shape of every object, yet I found human connection puzzling. And though I felt guilty about it, I needed very little from other people. I had rigid, inflexible expectations of how things should be, and I experienced various levels of agitation if those expectations were not met. In a bewildering, exhausting paradox that is typical of autism, I felt simultaneously confused by the world and certain that my experience was right. So this just really just made me feel so just seen because I relate to that so hard. Like I have consistently had so much trouble navigating just like day-to-day interactions with other people and more personal relationships. And um, what can happen when you have a therapist who's not autism informed, they can be trying to like work on learning skills like the DBT skills and also like um trying to figure out like what's interfering with relationships from a like past trauma perspective or even parts work. I like what Sarah says about like if you're doing IFS therapy and there's a part that just like won't budge, that's a good indication that it might be some neurodivergence rather than a part, and that we may have a different way of interacting with the world and with people in particular when we're autistic or when we're neurodivergent or even highly sensitive, and that doesn't need to be fixed or changed or like put through a trauma, like figure out what the trauma is that's making these relationships hard. Like maybe it's just that your operating system is different than the person that you're trying to be in relationship with. And that by understanding those different operating systems, you can then bring in accommodations and understanding and curiosity and creativity about how to make connections, just like we would between an Apple phone and an Android phone, right? We might need three different dongles and three different wires and like four different apps, but we could make it so that the two can share with each other about their experiences, knowledge, etc. So, anyways, love this book, highly recommend, and I will put a link in the description. Lots of love.